Video for Assignment 69, Math Lesson 9.8. Today we're going to talk about volume of rectangular prisms. Now, when we're talking about volume, you read about volume and capacity in the student reference book on page 195 for your math message. And when we talk about volume, we're talking about like how much space the object takes up. And when we have like a figure, we're thinking how much space completely fills that figure. So here we have a rectangular prism, okay, and it's got cube pictures on it to help you visualize what that volume looks like. It's like solid cubes, okay? Each one of these is one cubic unit. Now, if you want to figure out how many cubes are in the whole prism, do you need to count every cube? If you figure out how many are in one layer, okay, and we can do that by just using our ideas that we have about rectangular arrays. We've got 4 by 3. 4 by 3 means there's going to be 12. 4 times 3 is 12. There will be 12 unit cubes in this layer here. Okay? So if we know that there are 12 unit cubes in the first layer, well, there's also going to be 12 unit cubes in this layer, and there's also going to be 12 unit cubes in the bottom layer, right? So if we figure out how many unit cubes are in the first layer, we can just use multiplication to know how many in all, because we've got 3 layers of 12. 3 times 12. So that's how we configure volume problems. We think, how many cubes in the first layer? Or in other words, what we're doing here is we're finding the area of the bottom layer. Okay, so we've got 4 times 3, so there's 12 cubes in the first layer. And how many layers? There's 3 layers. So we take that 12 in one layer times the 3 layers. 12 times 3 is 36. And so the volume of this rectangular prism is 36 cubic units. Now notice we're talking about cubic units now, not square units. Cubic units are a little different because they're not flat. Square units are flat. They've got 2 dimensions. But think of like a piece of paper like laying flat on a desk. Okay? But cubic units have 3 dimensions. There's depth to them. And that's the difference between square units and cubic units. Now in your notebook, we're going to go to the next clean page, okay, and it should be right after your page where you had area formulas. Well, now our next page we're going to put volume formulas. So put this as your heading is volume formulas, and copy down this information about rectangular prisms. Now, the formula for finding the volume of rectangular prisms is this capital B times this lowercase h. Now it's really important that you know what those letters stand for. So you also need to write this part in your notes. V is the volume. Okay, so volume equals, now this capital B stands for the area of the base. Remember when we did area formulas, we had a lowercase b? Okay, that lowercase b stood for the length of the base. Okay, this is different. This is a capital B, and it's really important that you make the distinction. Okay, a capital B stands for the area of the base. And then the height is the height of the prism. So for rectangular prisms, the volume equals area of the base times height of the prism. Now if we look back at our problem that we did here, okay, and actually let's look at this picture. If we find the area of the base, we're thinking about, usually you think about the base as like the side that it rests on. It really doesn't matter which side we use. Any side really could be the base as long as we measure our height from the base. And so I'm just going to look at this top layer since I can see these little square pictures on there. So any flat side can be the base. So if we find the area of this, it's 4 times 3. So the area is 12. Then we take that area of the base and we multiply it by the height of the prism. Well, the prism is 3 layers high. So we take that 12 times 3, we get 36, and that's how we arrive at our volume. Area of the base times the height. So make sure you have this stuff copied down under volume formulas in your notebook. Now, let's look at our first prism here, okay? And find the volume of this prism. Let's see, what will we need to do? First, we need to find the area of the base. Well, I can see here that the dimensions of my base are 5 by 3. So the area of this base is going to be 15, okay, because 5 times 3 is 15. Now the height of the prism is 10, so I need to take the area of the base, 15, multiply it by the height of the prism, 10, so 15 times 10. So the volume of number 1 here would be 150 meters cubed. Notice it's to the 3rd power because it's 3-dimensional. All right? Area is 2-dimensional. Here we have 3-dimensional, and that's why our meters are to the 3rd power, and we call that meters cubed, or we could even say cubic meters. Now, what I want you to do is pause this video and find the volume of figures 2 and 3. Then resume the video after you have figured it. And yes, you may use a calculator. Go ahead and use your calculator. Okay, now you have calculated the volume for figure 2 and for figure 3. So let's check and see how you did. Figure 2, area of the base is 3 by 2, so the area would be 6 times the height of the prism 2. 6 times 2 is 12. So you should have gotten 12 cubic feet. Number 3, area of the base, it's 10 by 2.5. Okay, so you get 25 times 4. So you should have calculated a volume of 100 centimeters cubed. I have another problem that I want you to try. Now, this is a little bit different because you have the volume. You've got one of the dimensions missing, and so you're going to have to do a little backwards working. Let's see if you can figure out how to solve this problem. Allison's parents have purchased a swim training pool which holds 6,000 cubic feet of water. What is the depth of the pool? Okay, here you can see this base line here is 40 feet. This is labeled 15 feet, so that means that this is 15 feet and this is 15 feet. We do not know the height. Okay, pause the video and see if you can figure out what that height would be. Then resume. All right, now to figure out something like this, you got to work backwards, okay? We know the volume is 6,000. We even can figure out the area of the base would be 40 times 15. So if you calculate 40 times 15, you get 600. So we know that 600 times something is going to equal 6,000. How can we figure that out? Yeah, take 6,000 and divide by 600. If you do that, you can figure out that your height would be 10 feet.